Alright, well, this is it, guys. The last episode of Dexter forever. And at this point, kind of just glad they're ending this shit. This season has easily been the worst season I've ever seen of Dexter. I don't know how they went with a storyline involving Dexter leaving the country. The show is about a man who kills people. How is the final season not about him getting caught, but about Hannah McKay? It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm glad to just sit here and watch the final episode and then move on to something else. And I've heard nothing but great things about Breaking Bad. So after this episode of Dexter, I'm going to start watching Breaking Bad, and I'm going to do reviews for all the seasons. Not every episode, but every season of Breaking Bad. And then I'm going to start Game of Thrones. And I may do Sons of Anarchy, I'm not sure yet. But so far, and there's going to be massive spoilers in this video, so far what's happened is Dexter is at the airport with Harrison. Hannah McKay is in the bathroom, and she calls him and says, "Dexter, Elway's here. I can't get out." So Dexter plants this backpack. He goes and buys some stuff at the gift shop. And he plants this backpack, and he tells the receptionist that this strange guy over here on the phone left this. So she has airport security take Elway away. But this also delays the flight, so they have to leave the airport anyway. So Hannah McKay's leaving with Dexter and Harrison, just walking around in a crowd of people, a huge crowd of people. It's Hannah McKay right here. Nobody notices. Dexter gets a call from Matthews that Deborah's been shot. She's still alive. They took her to the hospital. She's about to go into surgery. So Dexter takes Hannah back to the hotel, and he goes to the hospital to check on Deborah. And then we see Saxon, who's bleeding, holding a gun, walking in a parking lot full of people, and he just pistol whips some guy and takes his truck. Nobody notices this either. So that's everything that's happened so far. So Dexter makes it to the hospital. Deborah's going to be okay. And he has this flashback moment of Harrison's birth and how his sister was there and the first time they saw Harrison and everything. And as he's leaving the hospital, Elway comes up to him. And he says, "Are you in a hurry to get back to Hannah McKay? You're responsible for U.S. Marshal Clayton's death." And Dexter shoves him up against the wall, and Elway just says, "Storm's coming, buddy." I thought that was pretty awesome. Oliver Saxon goes to a veterinarian to get his arm fixed up, and the police know what car he stole, so he takes the veterinarian hostage so that they can take his car. And then Dexter puts Hannah McKay and Harrison on an evacuation bus because of the hurricane, while he goes to deal with Saxon. Now, I don't understand what he's thinking here, because he's leaving his son, and I know he doesn't have a choice, really. He's got to do what he's got to do, but he's still leaving his son with a wanted fugitive. And it's not that I think Hannah McKay would do something to hurt Harrison, but if she got arrested with Harrison, Dexter's going to have to explain why she has his son. Plus, it could be traumatizing for the kid. And if it got back to him, I mean, what's he going to say? He could go to jail for harboring a fugitive, and then what does Harrison do? So, I kind of thought that was a dumb move. Holy shit. A lot of stuff just happened here. So, Saxon shows up at the hospital, and he's in the car with a veterinarian, and the guy's like, "Please, just let me go." And Saxon says, "I'm going to let you go," and he cuts the guy's tongue out. So the guy shows up in the emergency room, he's spitting up blood, and everybody's focused on this guy so Saxon can sneak in. If they do a spin-off of this show, they should have done it about Saxon. I think he's a better character, and he's a better actor. But, anyways, where was I? So Saxon sneaks into the hospital, and he's going to try to kill Deborah. And while he's looking at the list to try and find what room she's in, Dexter shows up. He sees Saxon. Dexter's got a fork. Saxon's got a gun. And then Batista shows up with a gun, and he tells Saxon to drop it. That's it. They arrest Saxon. It's done. So Dexter goes to check on Deborah, and she's not in her room. So he asks Quinn, what's going on? And Quinn is crying, and he says Deborah had to go to ICU because she quit breathing. So Dexter goes to check on her, and the doctor says that Deborah's basically in a coma. She's going to need a feeding tube for the rest of her life, and it's going to take a miracle to save her. Is everyone on this show just fucking completely brain dead? Because I can't believe what I just saw. In 2 different scenes. The fucking stupidity. Okay, where should I begin here? Alright, so Batista and Quinn are going to question Oliver Saxon. So they got him in custody, and Quinn immediately freaks out when he starts talking about Deborah. How did Batista not see this coming? Why did Batista even allow Quinn in the fucking interrogation room? Saxon just shot his girlfriend and put her in a coma for the rest of her life. Why is Quinn in the interrogation room? So Saxon says he just wants to talk to his lawyer. That's over with. Hannah McKay is on the evacuation bus with Harrison. And Elway is sitting next to her. Somehow he got the right bus. And he says, here's what's going to happen. We're not going to make a big scene. We're going to take the bus to Daytona. Then I'm going to drive you to the marshal's office and hand Harrison over to Child Protective Services. He doesn't try to alert anyone, hey, this woman is a fugitive, but I got everything under control. I'm a bounty hunter or whatever the fuck he is. He doesn't say anything like that. He just holds her hand and says, just sit there and let's not make a big deal out of this. So Hannah McKay opens up this thermos and she says, I'm just going to drink some tea. Would you like some? And he says, how stupid do you think I am? So she pulls out a syringe and injects him with horse tranquilizer. And instead of saying, this is Hannah McKay, I'm a whatever, somebody help me, she just drugged me, anything. He doesn't say anything. He just sits there and passes out, and Hannah McKay and Harrison get off the bus. I don't know where they're going to go. They don't have a car or anything. So, yeah. Well, Dexter goes to see Saxon to give him some GRS test or something. I don't know. So he signs in and he goes to talk to Saxon. And he tells Saxon that he's here to kill him with this pen. So Saxon grabs the pen and stabs Dexter in the shoulder. He's a trained killer. Well, he's not trained, but I mean, he's killed a lot of people. But he stabs him in the shoulder. Dexter grabs the pen, stabs Saxon in the throat. All of this is on video. So Batista, Quinn, and Dexter are watching the video footage, and Batista's like, Dexter, what were you thinking? Why did you think you should go see Saxon personally after what he did to your sister? How am I going to explain this? So Dexter says that he wanted to make sure that the case was by the book so that there were no errors in making sure Saxon was arrested and all of this, and he wanted to look him in the eye. And Batista says, okay, I get that. Well, who cares? Batista may believe this, but what's Saxon's lawyer going to think? What's everyone else going to think? This is complete bullshit. Why would he go to administer a test no one asked him to administer? Not to mention what just happened to his sister. That's a conflict of interest. I mean, there's so much bullshit here, it's ridiculous. Who cares if Batista and Quinn buy it? What about the rest of the world? And, like I said, Saxon's lawyer. But anyway, Saxon is dead. And like I said earlier, a spin-off with Saxon would have been a good idea, I think. Because there's a lot you could do with that. You could show him growing up, how he escaped from the mental institution. There's a lot of stuff you could do with a spin-off based on this character. It'd kind of be like Buffy and Angel. But he's dead now. Alright, so I just finished the episode. And Dexter goes to the hospital to see Deborah. And the hurricane's about to hit, so they're moving a lot of patients around. And Dexter goes to see Deborah, and he decides to turn off the machine that is keeping her alive. Now, Dexter is Deborah's last remaining family, so he could have just signed some papers to have this taken care of. But I guess he knew at this point that he would be leaving Miami, so he wouldn't be around, and he just decides to turn off the machines, and he leaves the hospital with her body. So he just carries her out of the hospital and puts her on his boat, and he drives off towards the hurricane. But he stops, and he calls Hannah McKay. And Hannah says, "Oh, we're about to board the plane. We'll be meeting up with you soon." He talks to Harrison, tells him he loves him one last time, and then he throws the phone overboard, dumps Deborah's body into the ocean, and says that he has to protect Hannah McKay and Harrison from himself, because everybody he comes in contact with just ends up hurt. So he drives off into the hurricane. And you assume he's dead. You see Batista, he gets a phone call saying that Dexter died. Hannah McKay reads the news on her laptop that Dexter's dead. And I guess Dexter had a lot of faith in Hannah McKay, that she really loved his kid, because she could really just abandon Harrison whenever she feels like it in a foreign country. But I guess Dexter really trusts this serial killer. So the last thing we see is some guy unloading wood or something from a truck, and it's Dexter. And he goes home and he sits down and he looks at the camera, and that's how the show ended. That's how the series ended. Dexter left everything behind, faked his death, and ran off to become a lumberjack. That's how they wrapped up 8 years of Dexter. I gotta say, I didn't really care for the ending. I feel that this show definitely deserved a better ending than this. The first 4 seasons of Dexter, after I watched the first 4 seasons, actually after I watched the first 3 seasons, this easily became one of my favorite shows of all time. The 4th season was just phenomenal. The last 4 seasons, not so much. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So that's my review. I hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this episode in the comments, and thanks for watching. Bye. Alright, well, this is it, guys. The last episode of Dexter forever. And at this point, kind of just glad they're ending this shit. How is the final season not about him getting caught, but about Hannah McKay? It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm glad to just sit here and watch the final episode and then move on to something else. And I've heard nothing but great things about Breaking Bad, so after this episode of Dexter, I'm going to start watching Breaking Bad, and I'm going to do reviews for all the seasons. Not every episode, but every season of Breaking Bad. And then I'm going to start... This season has easily been the worst season I've ever seen of Dexter. I don't know how they went with a storyline involving Dexter leaving the country. The show is about a man who kills people. Game of Thrones. And I may do Sons of Anarchy, I'm not sure yet. But so far, and there's going to be massive spoilers in this video, so far what's happened is Dexter